Good evening, everyone. It being 7:30 on Tuesday, March 1st, 2022, let's begin our town council meeting. Please stand for a pledge of allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will have a moment of silence for all those who serve in our military, at home and abroad, and for their families. And this week, in remembrance of Braintree art teacher Ingrid Gay, who passed away on February 18th, and for Braintree Lieutenant Principe and Sergeant DeCross, who were killed in the line of duty 31 years ago tonight. Thank you. And Clerk Semino, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilor Barrica?
Here.
Councilor Flaherty?
Here.
Councilor Hume?
Here.
Councilor Mackin?
Here.
Councilor Meglio?
Here.
Councilor O'Brien, roll call to begin the meeting. Thank you. Councilor Reynolds?
Here.
Councilor Ringus?
Here.
Councilor Ryan?
Here.
All present.
Thank you, Clerk Semino. We do have a council member who is participating remotely this evening, so therefore all votes will be by roll call. So we will begin with announcements. I am very excited to announce that with the beginning of Youth Art Month, the council is adding public art to our chambers. I'd like to thank the Braintree Public Schools Art Department for their partnership in this initiative. I also want to recognize and thank members of Braintree's Cultural Council who were able to join us this evening, members Roy Armstrong and Jennifer Lynn. And we have Art Director of the Braintree Community Arts Center, Heidi Hurley, with us, as well as School Committee Chairwoman Lisa Heeger. And I hope I got everyone, but thank you for everyone for being here tonight. Again, with the beginning of Youth Art Month, the arts enrich our lives, and I hope that by having it in our chambers, it will inspire creative problem solving and help us to imagine what's possible. I hope it will make the council chambers welcoming and accessible to the public and inspire civic engagement. And what better way to do that than by showcasing and celebrating the works by the talented students at Braintree Public Schools. So for residents at home, you can come to Town Hall and see the artwork yourself. It is also on the Town Council webpage. Thank you to Clerk Semino for making that happen. So the artwork will be rotated monthly. This month, we are featuring the works of our middle school students. And from grade 5, I'm going to read out the names. We have Delaney Smith and Jack Joyce. From grade 6, Ira Shee. From grade 7, Prudencia Risk Aspensi, Minhyu Lee, Stanley Zhang, Michelle Liang, and Lauren Koronog, and grade 8, Caroline Kwan and Yan Liu. So we will be celebrating and recognizing all of our student artists more formally at the end of the school year. So stay tuned for that. But now I'd also like to introduce the interim art director, Julie Campisano, and say thank you so much for your partnership in this.
For all those nice words and the great description of the beautiful work that's hanging here. It looks better than I imagined. It certainly helps that all the students' hard work is filling these frames. So thank you for this chance. As you mentioned, it is Youth Art Month starting today, which is celebrated nationally. So here in Braintree, we celebrate in our classrooms and within our schools, and now at Town Council. Thank you also to the students. Throughout COVID, they've worked remotely and hybrid and now in person, and all of those situations have their challenges, but they've really shown great persistence and great problem solving and creativity, which you can see here tonight. I thank also our middle school teachers for encouraging their students. We have Miss Davidson, we have Miss Peliotis, Miss Schultz, working so hard to bring what you see here tonight. And thank you again to the Town Council. I do hope we continue. I plan to next month with perhaps elementary and high school work, and look forward to seeing more work here in the future. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Counselor Ryan, please go right ahead.
We used to have a lot of the art hang on boards in the auditorium as well, and they used to display the students' artwork at the plaza as well. Is there any plans for that, for it to be displayed at the plaza?
We were asked to display work at the plaza. We haven't decided. I know we just took some down, so I'll let you know. And
Okay.
I know we used to have Art Fest here in the past, pre-COVID, and last year we had planned to do it at the high school. And so there are more art celebrations throughout Braintree coming up. So.
That's great. I'll tell you a little story about, I was at the South Shore Plaza, and they had all the students' art displayed, and I was looking at it all, and I saw someone that I knew, their son, and it was a wonderful drawing, and I turned around, I was walking away, and my friend was walking up with his son, the artist, and it was just, he was so proud to see his art displayed at the South Shore Plaza. It was just a wonderful opportunity, and I was just raving about what a great job I thought it was. And he said to me, well, did you see your son Joey's right over here? And my jaw hit the ground. And I walked over, and my son Joey had done a self-portrait. And out of all the pictures, as I walked up to it, I could pick it out from like a mile away. And it was just thrilling that, I ran home and I made him get in the car, and I had to hear it on the street. I couldn't hear it from him that his artwork was being displayed at the plaza. But I made him get in the car and go to the South Shore Plaza with me.
Oh, funny.
And he didn't think it was a big deal, but I think he was a little embarrassed. But it was wonderful.
Yeah.
So that's my...
Well, it does mean a lot to the students to have their artwork, shown outside of the classroom. I know we have maybe some watching tonight and someone visiting here in person. So thank you for the chance to give them that great feeling of showing their work to all the folks in Braintree.
Thank
So
you, Ms.
thank you.
Campusano. Counselor Hume.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you for being here tonight. As Councilor Ryan said, the display of artwork that has always been here at the plaza is amazing. The artwork in front of us is beautiful, the ones I can see. There's also artwork, which a lot of people don't know, on display year-round at the school administration building, lining the halls. Some students didn't even know that their artwork would be there sometimes. I know I had some of my neighbors up there, and I would tell them, and they were so impressed. But the talent of the Braintree art students is always, it's phenomenal, and it doesn't get nearly enough attention that it deserves. And I know years ago the Braintree Art Center was opened, and I don't think we've had the opportunity to publicly congratulate Heidi Hurley on your retirement, which was, I think, short-lived, because now you're the director of the Braintree Community Arts Department, so congratulations. I know Heidi, it's funny, I've known Heidi for many years, and it wasn't until a few years ago that your father was an art teacher at South and was my art teacher at South. So you come from a long line of art, and your talent, I know, is sorely missed. So many students over the years, as I was a school committee member, and even as a council member, whose lives you impacted and went into arts and continued arts in their college. So I thank you for that. You're a huge asset to the town. I'm glad you were staying involved in the town, and I don't know of anybody else who would be better served heading up the Braintree Community Arts Center. And I've already seen more activity because of your involvement in social media and all that. So I thank you for that and congratulate you. And thank you as well.
Thank you, Counselor Hume. Are there any other announcements from counselors this evening? All right. Thank you. Thank you again, and thank you to all of the students whose art is adorning the chambers. I'm really excited. All right, so with that, we will move on to the approval of minutes from January 18th, 2022. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, Counselors Ryan and
Second.
Hume. Clerk Semino, roll call vote, please.
Counselor Barrica.
Yes.
Counselor Flaherty.
Aye.
Counselor Hume.
Aye.
Counselor Mackin.
Aye.
Counselor Maglio. Aye. Counselor O'Brien.
Aye.
Counselor Reynolds.
Aye.
Counselor Ringus.
Aye.
Counselor Ryan. 9 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you, Clerk Semino. All right, we're going to move on to communications, and I'd like to acknowledge not only our state senator, Walter Timmelty, who's chair of the Joint Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security, who's going to address us shortly, but I also want to make sure I acknowledge the mayor's chief of staff, Nicole Taub, Director Santucci Razi, Liz Manning, our new CPC manager, and Director of Finance, Ed Spellman. So thank you all for joining us this evening. Senator Timmelty, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Madam President. If with your indulgence,
Please.
may Major Bloom approach?
Of course, please.
Major, thank you very much. Madam President, members of the council, thank you very much for this opportunity to stand before you this evening and present you with an initiative that I've launched several weeks ago. And to the residents of the town of Braintree, thank you very much for the privilege of working for you all. In the state Senate, one of my roles is to serve as the chair of the Joint Committee, co-chair of the Joint Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security. The National Guard falls within the purview of the committee, and I have the outstanding privilege of working with the many outstanding women and men of the National Guard, Major Bloom being one of them. Major Bloom is the executive officer of the 125th Cybersecurity Defense Battalion. And what I am proposing to the town of Braintree tonight is a partnership that I am attempting to forge between the town of Braintree and the Massachusetts National Guard in terms of cybersecurity. Unfortunately, we live in an unstable world. And cyber attacks are not the future, they're actually upon us. In recent months, Brockton Police Department has suffered a cyber attack. Several weeks ago, the city of Quincy was also attacked by an act of malfeasance and, in many cases, pure evil by a criminal enterprise. Now, we have obviously rogue nations around the world that engage in cyber attacks. We have criminal enterprises, and we have malicious actors. In any event, we have to be ready. It is upon us now. And on March 30th, I will be hosting a forum in conjunction with the National Guard and General Keith, and of course Major Bloom, who's the executive officer of the Cybersecurity Defense Battalion at the Braintree Armory. I've had conversations with the mayor on this and Kate Naughton, and I've already extended the invitation to the town of Braintree to dispatch whomever from Braintree's town government to this forum. And obviously, I wanted to be here tonight to inform the council and obviously discuss it with the council. And of course, introduce Major Bloom. Back over the summer, I had the privilege of meeting Major Bloom and attending the Yankee Cybersecurity Conference at Joint Base Cape Cod, where the Cybersecurity Defense Battalion is based out of. And at that exercise, I witnessed, first of all, just outstanding capabilities from our National Guard. We should all be so proud of what the many things that the National Guard engages in to protect us both here and abroad. At that conference, you had National Guards from all over New England. You had the Marine Corps, various state police agencies, various elements from the federal government, and of course our own National Guard as the host. And quite simply, the capabilities, both offensively and defensively, that were exhibited that day by our own National Guard and federal law enforcement, state law enforcement, and the Department of Defense is astounding. So what I'm hoping to do is forge this partnership, which we can begin to forge tomorrow with the town of Braintree, and invite the town of Braintree to dispatch whomever the town of Braintree would like to assign to this conference, and work with the National Guard going forward to make sure this town is protected. That is my goal here, and I am determined to make sure that the town of Braintree is protected from any cyber attacks. And I might add that Mark Cusack, our state representative, and Senator John Keenan are supportive of this initiative and great supporters of the National Guard. And President Barrick, it's been terrific to talk to you about this issue. I thank you very much, and of course, Councilor Reynolds and Councilor Mackin. And I look forward to a dialogue ongoing with every member of the town council on this issue, and of course, the mayor and his team here. So thank you very much. And if, with your indulgence, I'd like to turn it over to Major Bloom, who'll give us a brief overview. Thank you, Major.
Thank you, Senator Timmelty, and welcome, Major Bloom, and thank you for your service. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the council. So as the senator said, my name is Major Joseph Bloom. I'm the executive officer of the 126th Cyber Battalion. The 125th is in South Carolina, sir. Is our sister battalion in South Carolina. So one of the things that, one of the initiatives that we've started in the Massachusetts National Guard with our partners in EOPS and EOTS and other state agencies, including the Fusion Center with the Mass State Police, is starting up what we call a pre-incident assessments for the towns and municipalities in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So, as we know, the threat of cyber attacks is only increasing. Current events even show a extreme rise in the number of cyber attacks. As the events in Ukraine continue to unfold, a lot of malicious cyber actors are taking the opportunity to target networks more frequently now, as all eyes are on Ukraine. War only increases that potential, and they're taking advantage of, and criminal actors are taking advantage of that right now. So the average cybersecurity incident could cost anywhere up to typically between $60,000 and about $2 million. And 1 in 6 communities in Massachusetts have actually been hit since 2020 in recent years. And 44% of those attacks have been ransomware against municipality networks since 2020. So again, in collaboration with EOPS, EOTS, the National Guard is just one program of many that can provide a service to our communities, a service to the Commonwealth, to take a look at your networks, provide recommendations for remediation, and build cyber resiliency across the Commonwealth and across all the communities, including Braintree. The National Guard has built extensive partnerships, not only with federal agencies, but with state agencies, including academic partnerships as well. So we provide in collaboration with EOPS, EOTS, and the other programs out there, we bring a wealth of experience and a wealth of knowledge. A lot of our soldiers on the civilian side, because many of my soldiers are part-timers, they work in this industry day in and day out. They bring a wealth of expertise that can be leveraged by your community and other communities in the Commonwealth. And another initiative that we've begun to start, as you know, under Mass General Law, Chapter 33, the organized militia, the National Guard is just one part. We also have the State Defense Force, or the state militia, which is usually comprised of retirees and civilians who've actually applied to not necessarily be in the military, but want to serve the Commonwealth in another way. And part of the State Defense Force that we're looking to do is establish what we call a State Defense Force, which for individuals that may have the requisite skills and abilities, they may not want to adhere to the military life. So the State Defense Force is another avenue for them to serve the Commonwealth. And that's just a snapshot of the capabilities and the initiatives that we've begun with EOPS and EOTS and our partners with state agencies. And the last thing I'll leave off with is we've actually started this program initially as a proof of concept. So we were actually invited out by a town. I'm not authorized to disclose the name due to non-disclosure agreements, so I can't disclose that name in a public forum. However, this town did reach out to us and asked us for our assistance, and we used that as an opportunity to do a proof of concept for this initiative that we started. And just to kind of explain some of the things that we found that are probably indicative across towns and municipalities is a general lack of support within your IT office. So sometimes it's just a single director with no support. And that can be a problem, especially as attacks come in, because that one director can't constantly be analyzing your network. Some other things that we found were networks were extremely vulnerable to even the simplest attack. Like I could be in the town library. That town library's network is connected to the town hall, and I could sign in onto your laptop and take all your data. That's how easy it was for us on this proof of concept mission to sign into the town clerk's office, actually. So And the other biggest thing that we know of is some of these threat actors will lock up networks for money. Some will do it to ruin a town. The control systems for your water could debilitate your town. Threat actor locks that up, closes it down for more than 24 hours, your town is now without water. And it was very easy for us to access their network physically as well for that control system. So not only do we do the digital side of things, but we can also provide support to assess your physical security of those networks and those control systems. Because not only do cybersecurity professionals do things on the computer side, we also do things on the physical side. It doesn't help if someone can physically access your network if they can also access it through the internet. And so that's what we're here to do. We're just one program that supports the initiatives through EOPS and EOTS, and we want to support our communities. And I'll pause there for any questions from the council.
Thank you very much. And I would love to open it up to my colleagues for questions or comments. Anybody have any questions? Councilor Mackin?
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you for coming here today, and this is very interesting. I do cybersecurity myself professionally. I work for a healthcare company, and ransomware would be the big one keeping us up at night. I do have a ton of questions. I won't get into all of them, obviously. Won't get too technical, but for what you were saying, many towns in the Commonwealth have been hit with ransomware, and
Yes.
as you touched on, cybersecurity can be a very big expense, so a lot of towns don't have it. They have outdated IT infrastructure. They don't keep good data backups, or they don't keep them secure if they do have them. So the towns, and not saying, don't say what towns they were, but the towns that did get hit with ransomware, what were the end results there? Did they end up paying? Was the issue able to get fixed? Did they lose their systems?
So if I remember from the report from Quincy, they still have not paid the ransom, and they were able to back up their systems by just they actually had conducted a recent backup, and they were able to back up their system. So it didn't really incur any costs, just the cost to reload the backups. Some other towns have panicked and paid, and then they end up notifying the Fusion Center, and then the Fusion Center comes out, does the assessment, remediates, and then reloads their backups from there. It says, hey, you lost some data, but you would have paid less with that lost data than you would have paying the actual attackers. And to that point as well, one of the newer bits of ransom, one of the scarier pieces of ransomware that's been coming out recently is data wiper ransomware.
Hit the backups first.
Hitting the backups first, locking up your networks, demanding the money. IT directors go to load the backups are no longer there. Or if the attacker is particularly nasty, they lock up your network, you don't pay the ransom, they hit you with the wiper. And it completely wipes your network, and you've lost all data, backup and your primary. So that's actually been, I'm not sure, more overseas with that right now. We haven't seen any of those types of attacks here in the United States, but it is a potential and it is a risk.
And then one other question, I'll just turn it over. Like, what would you consider your primary asset that you're protecting?
The primary asset, well, it's based on the needs of the customer. So the town would.
So if someone reaches out to you and you're not actively.
No, we're not actively.
Okay,
we're not actively scanning networks. We because we're restricted in a lot of ways as the military. We are not authorized to actually conduct active defense and active scanning on municipal networks. We have to be abided in, just like any other. Just like if you were to call a SOC and have them come in and do a vulnerability assessment, they have to be invited in. You do the MOUs and all that.
Do you have an active SOC running, or no? Because there's
no, not right now, because we're on an as-needed basis.
Gotcha.
So when the municipality reaches out, contacts us, we reach out to the IT director, set up meetings, establish the MOAs, the MOUs, or memorandums of agreement and memorandums of understanding. And then once those have been agreed upon by us, the IT director in the town, then we come in and do the work. And once we're done, we relinquish all data, remove it off our hard drives, and we're out.
No, it's it for me and Senator Timothy. Whenever, if we are going to do an assessment of the town of Braintree, I would love to be involved in that. But, no, that's it.
Definitely.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mackin.
If I
Go
may,
right ahead,
if I may,
Senator.
Madam President, thank you. Major, thank you very much. Quickly, Councilor, you've alluded to many questions. I'm more than happy to set up sidebar conversations in the days ahead for each and every one of you who would like to talk to the National Guard, Major Bloom and his colleagues, about cybersecurity and what the National Guard and, of course, the Cybersecurity Defense Battalion can do for the town of Braintree in terms of protection and partnership and support. So this is just a beginning tonight, and the conversations that I've had with Mayor Kokoris in the past couple of weeks. This, I must emphasize again, is 100% cost-free for the town of Braintree. And my determination here is with each and every one of the 10 towns that I represent, and it is a privilege, is to make sure that each and every one of these towns, Braintree especially, is protected. And the National Guard, I talked with General Keefe several times per week. You know, many months ago, General Keefe expressed his desire to get into the business of making sure that our municipalities all around the Commonwealth were protected. And I asked the General if he would do a forum and work with the 10 communities I have the privilege of representing, which the General was more than happy to do. And through that, I've had the privilege of working with Major Bloom. So I believe this will be a great positive for this town and for each and every one of the towns that will be participating on March 30th. And of course, we can start the run-up any day at the decision of the mayor and the town government.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Any other councilors have questions? Councilor Reynolds?
Major Bloom for your service, and thank you, Senator Timothy. I think we're fortunate as a council actually to have someone like Councilor Mackin and his experiences here to kind of help the rest of us who perhaps don't understand the depth of this risk that we face. So I believe, so these services that are available through the Homeland Security, through the Cyber Battalion, through the 126th, is there any kind of a cost? Is there any, what kinds of services, and understanding that we can't get into various types of service or defense that may be able to give insights to those who are listening and always looking and probing for these advantages. And actually, I had a discussion earlier with Councilor Mackin on that, and he enlightened me a little bit on some of these kind of vulnerabilities that you take for granted. So, the main question: is there this service? Is it available as free? Is it a cooperative? I don't know who would be best to answer that question.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, this won't incur any cost on the town of Braintree.
Okay.
It will not. Oh. Thank you, Councilor Ryan, but this will be cost-free for the town of Braintree.
Terrific. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President.
Did you have a follow-up, Councilor Mackin, or anybody else first? Yeah. Any other councilors? Okay, Councilor Mackin for the second time. Go right ahead.
Just thought, so when you said cost-free, I know the assessment will be cost-free, but any upgrades that we had to make, that would be expenses for the town, right?
Yes. As part of our program in the National Guard, we're not authorized to provide any, we're able to provide the recommendations for remediation, but beyond that, we're not able to do that. So beyond that and actually remediating those vulnerabilities, the Executive Office of Technology Security and Services actually has a grant program and the ability for you to apply for a grant based off of our recommendations. The town that we did the proof of concept mission in, once we concluded our mission, briefed the IT director and the town council on those recommendations. We handed them the full packet, and that assisted them with applying for a grant to EOTS to either buy new hardware, which a lot of it was outdated hardware, Windows XP systems that hadn't been patched in God knows how long.
Ever.
Yeah. And several upgrades to just some of their infrastructure and just creating more of a more layered defense on the networks. The network we found was very, very flat.
Yeah.
It was a very flat network. So we provided them a lot of recommendations for new hardware operating system upgrades and that kind of thing. They took that and they applied for a grant with the yachts. And so we can actually assist with ensuring that our recommendations meet the requirements for that grant. That way it's still no cost. It limits the cost to the town.
Thank you.
If I may, Madam President, for a moment. Back in my first term representing the town of Braintree in the Norfolk, Bristol, and Plymouth Senate District, I was the chair of the Committee on State Administration and Regulatory Oversight. I worked on the legislation that formed, as Major Bloom alluded to, EOTS, the Executive Office of Technology Services. So I can assure you that any grants that the town of Braintree decides to apply for in terms of cybersecurity preparedness, that myself, Senator Keenan, and Representative Cusack will strenuously support the application. And of course, I'll be doing that for each and every one of the 10 towns I represent. But, and I'll also, of course, when we perform our budget exercise in late spring, I will be also strenuously advocating for as many monies as possible for the grant program with EOTS. And just in terms of a playbook, EOP stands for the Executive Office of Public Safety. So we have all our acronyms in play tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Any other counselors? Okay. Well, thank you, Major Bloom, for joining us this evening, and of course, Senator Timilty, for all of your advocacy on behalf of Braintree. I'm sure we will be looking forward to hearing from you after the initiative, if not between now and then.
Thank you, and I look forward to working with the council and, of course, Mayor Kokoris in the days ahead regarding this forum and Braintree's participation, which is exciting to me. So thank you very much, and thank you, Major.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
Thanks, Madam President. Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on now to old business. We'll take up 22010, Mayor request for appropriation, CPA appropriation for gravestone and tomb restoration project. Because this is a motion to appropriate funds, this will be a public hearing. So first we'll vote to open the public hearing, then we will hear from the committee, the mayor's office, the councilors, and the public if anybody wishes to speak. Then we will vote to close the public hearing, and lastly, we will vote on the motion at hand. So with that, is there a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion to open the public hearing for order 22010.
Second.
Thank you, Councilors Ryan and Hume. Clerk Semino, roll call vote, please.
For opening the public hearing for order 22010, Councilor Berica.
Yes.
Councilor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilor Hume.
Aye.
Councilor Mackin.
Aye.
Councilor Maglio.
Aye.
Councilor O'Brien.
Aye.
Councilor Reynolds.
Aye.
Councilor Rengus. Councilor Ryan.
Aye.
9 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you very much, Clerk Semino. And now I would like to refer to Councilor Reynolds, Chairman of the Committee of Ways and Means, for a recommendation.
Thank you, Madam President. The Committee on Ways and Means met earlier this evening and voted unanimously for recommended approval for this motion.
Thank you very much. With that, is there anyone from the mayor's office who would like to speak?
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, everybody. As was mentioned, this is a request for approval of an appropriation of Community Preservation Act funds. The amount requested this evening is $98,000, and that is to come from the Historic Preservation Fund within the CPC funding that's available to the town for use. A little bit of background on the project. This is the last step that is part of a restoration plan that was implemented back in 2007 following a study on how to restore and preserve what I've learned this evening is the oldest cemetery in Braintree, where the first burial occurred back in 1716. So pretty significant historic value on this property, and certainly something that is worthy of restoration and maintenance as an important resource for our community. What this last step in the $98,000 will do is it will address 11 gravestones, 3 family tombs, and 2 tomb doors, as well as complete the tomb topper fencing at the site. And at the committee meeting, and happy to do this evening again, Director Santucci Razi, along with our new CPC manager, Liz Manning, who joined us earlier this year. And I think this was her first project, so very excited to have her with us. And I know Director Santucci Razi is thrilled to have her as part of her team down in the office. We provided a brief overview of Community Preservation Act funds, where the money comes from and what the eligible uses are. Happy to do that for the full council and anybody watching at home this evening, if, Madam President, that would be your preference. And I would just note before I turn it over with your permission to Director Santucci Razi that these funds are not funds that come out of the general fund. They do not have any impact on the operating budget. It is wholly separately funded through effectively a surcharge on property tax with a match that comes out of a state trust fund dedicated for this purpose. So I do just want to stress that the funding we talk about for this project and any other projects that come through community preservation, they do not come out of the general fund. It is a separate pool of money that does not impact our operating budget. So with that, Madam President, and your permission, I'll turn it over to Director Santucci Razi.
Thank you, Chief of Staff.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the council. Always a pleasure to be here. This evening, I believe Sue did circulate, thank you very much, the packet I provided to the subcommittee, and just a few handouts I'd like to draw your attention to this evening. The first handout is all of the funds that were collected through the 1% real estate surcharge here in the community, as well as the match that comes from the CPA trust, which is funded from fees associated with the Registry of Deeds. So going back to 2002 when it was adopted, and then all the way up to 2022, showing the local surcharge portion as well as the fund distribution match. And as you can see, in the earlier years, we had a 100% match, and I think it's pretty clear now there's quite a few more communities that have joined on to the Community Preservation Act option through their local elections, and the percent match varies from year to year going forward. One of the other documents I've provided, and all of these I accessed off of the Community Preservation Coalition website, which Braintree is a member of. We pay annual dues to participate in this organization. One of the documents is where does the money come from? Again, Braintree voted a 1% surcharge on local real estate taxes. Low-income individuals are exempt, as well as the first $100,000 in value of your particular property. And then the match comes from the Community Preservation Trust, and surcharges from the Registry of Deeds, and then another memo. I'm not going to get too into detail on that, but the formula and really how this is, how that distribution is completed. One of the other questions I always get is this eligible? What can I do? Can I do this project? And the answer is you can do it if it falls into one of the designated categories. And those categories are historic preservation, open space and recreation, as well as affordable housing. So there's definitely some options. Anybody that's interested in a project or has any questions about a project, they can reach out to me, or they can reach out to Liz. We have Liz 14 hours a week. She's also paid through the Community Preservation Fund. Hopefully we can maybe work towards a little more hours from her. And as the director, the goal is to really not only fund projects, but to provide education around the Act and really to provide information about what types of projects and where the money's been spent. This is the residents' tax dollars, and I think it's important that these projects are made public and the information is made available to anybody that's interested in where their money is being spent. So anybody that has any other questions can always reach out to us, like I had said. And then we have the communitypreservation.org website down here. Tons of information on this website. This website contains a database, including Braintrees. We report those every year, of every single project that has been done in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts with Community Preservation Act funds. So it's a great resource. It's a great way to see what are our peers doing. You're at a barbecue on the weekend and somebody said, oh, look what my town did, and you have an idea. You can look something up on the website, get the particulars of that particular project. And as we all know, here in town government, we learn from our peers.
and we sometimes duplicate what other people do, if it's good. So that information, any questions relative to this particular topic or the application in front of you this evening?
Thank you, Director Santucci-Razzi. That was very helpful. I would like to open it up to the council. Councilor Hume.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Director Santucci-Razzi. I am glad that Chief of Staff Taub and yourself emphasized that this does not come from the operating budget, because I feel whenever the council approves funding for this, we get criticism that, well, you didn't do this, but this. So this document in particular, can this be put online? And if those at home want to access it, they can access it. But without these community preservation funds, I feel most of these projects would go unfunded, because
Correct.
especially in trying times,
Correct.
when your, public safety, schools, roads, all that, the priorities, these probably would unfortunately end up at the bottom of the list. So I am fully supportive of this. Appreciate all the documents you've sent us and all the work on this. And I will say, for this project in particular, if anybody has not visited this property, it is, with one of the restorations in the past, the town held an event, and they had people dressed in that era and represented character, excuse me, I apologize for that, represented the people who were part of that. And I was truly amazed. I pass by that all the time, and I had never been there until the town had that event. And so just the sheer age of some of the headstones and the history that is there, and even the stones themselves, it's truly incredible. It's beautiful. I'm so glad this project is before us. As I said, so supportive of this. Thank you for your work, and welcome to the town of Braintree. And thank you for your work, too. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Hume. Councilor Ryan.
Madam President, I agree with everything Councilor Hume just said. This is, this is an important funding source. It's not in our operating budget, and she hit the nail on the head. A lot of these projects wouldn't get done if we didn't have CPC money, and I really like how, I think the last time we voted it was for housing on a CPC fund, and so a CPC, and we have a good variety of things we vote on, and it's great work. And in Braintree we have a rich history in the town, and to see that we're taking care of the history is a wonderful thing. I stumbled into this cemetery when I first moved to Braintree about 25 years ago, and I was riding my bike and I stopped next to it and I looked over and I just started, and I walked in and I couldn't believe all the history in the headstones. And I could, even back then, you could tell that it needed some TLC there, and a lot of the stuff is of course, been damaged or not, or just wear and tear from hundreds of years of weather. But it's great. It's a great thing to be making sure that we're taking care of the history of the town of Braintree. We're very lucky that we have such history in the town. So I fully support this, and I think it's a wonderful project. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Ryan. Any other councilors have questions or comments on this item? Councilor Reynolds?
President, again, we had an opportunity to talk a little bit in the Ways and Means Committee, and thanks for recapping, and Chief of Staff Taub for recapping that conversation. Mine is more of a comment that may lead to a question. That well-deserved for preservation of our history. It's very unique, very proud of the history of this town, and it's something that we're focusing on as one of the aspects as we move forward with the master plan steering committee. So very worthwhile, and it's a good use of this money. And I wanted to point out that the North Braintree Square area, the general vicinity, is in and of itself a very historical district for our community. So I, as a representative of that district, am thankful for the Historical Commission as well as the Community Preservation Committee for their prioritization of this. And certainly would be interested for any future plans or conversations around expanding that historical preservation of such an important district. Thank you, Madam President.
Councilor Reynolds. Councilor Flaherty.
The only thing I'll add is that this kind of project makes me so glad that we have CPC funding, because I know how very important history is to Braintree residents. They really, really care about it. They don't want to see it go away. And, you know, if we really never, ever fund it, it will. And they know that. But when you hold that up against the immediate needs of the DPW or the schools or any of the other vital services that the town provides, it never seems to make it to the top. And so this is why CPC funding is so critical. Having the money earmarked for this kind of project is the reason why we're able to do it. And so I'm grateful that many moons ago people voted to join the Community Preservation Coalition, and I will certainly support this project.
Thank you, Councilor Flaherty. Any other councilors? I will echo the sentiments of my colleagues. I am fully in support of this motion this evening and delighted to support it. I think it really is a great mix of honoring our town's history and making Braintree Square even more vibrant by doing so. I think a couple of years ago we supported the CPC funding for the Unitarian Church, which is a National Historic Landmark, I believe. So this really adds to that whole corridor in town, and I think it's going to be terrific. And thank you for all the work and effort, and to the Historic Society, or Historic Commission, forgive me, as well. Right, so do you have anything else, Director?
I don't. Just always available for questions or comments anytime around this subject matter discussed this evening.
Seeing none, and I don't see any members of the public here. So I think with that, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Councilors Ryan and Hume. Clerk Semino, roll call vote, please.
This is to close the public hearing. Councilor Barica?
Yes.
Councilor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilor Hume?
Aye.
Councilor Mackin? Councilor Maglio?
Aye.
Councilor Orion?
Aye.
Councilor Reynolds?
Aye.
Councilor Ringus?
Aye.
Councilor Ryan?
Aye.
9 in favor, 0 opposed.
Okay, thank you very much. And now I believe we need the motion. Councilor Ryan.
Madam President, motion that in accordance with the provisions of Chapter 44B of the General Laws and with the recommendation of the Community Preservation Committee, the appropriation of $98,000 from the CPA Historic Resources Fund for the gravestone and tomb restoration project at the Elm Street Cemetery, Assessors Map 2024, Plot 18, conditional on the funds expended under the direction of the Community Preservation Committee and the Director of Planning and Community Development. So moved.
Thank you, Councilors Ryan and Hume. Clerk Semino, roll call vote, please.
This is to vote on the motion. Councilor Barica?
Yes.
Councilor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilor Hume?
Aye.
Councilor Mackin? Aye. Councilor Maglio?
Aye.
Councilor O'Brien?
Aye.
Councilor Reynolds?
Aye.
Councilor Ringus?
Aye.
Councilor Ryan?
Aye.
9 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. All right, we have no new business this evening, so we will move on to our referrals. Councilor Ryan, please.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm going to make one motion for all of these referrals to the Committee on Ways and Means. So it is 01622, Council President, long-term budget forecast, town auditor report, take up any action related thereto, update. 22006, Mayor request to approve the fiscal 2022 capital plan or take up any action related thereto. 22007, Mayor request appropriation fiscal year 2022 general fund capital budget or take up any action related thereto. 22008, Mayor request for appropriation fiscal year 2022 enterprise funds capital budget or take up any action related thereto. 22009, may I request for appropriation fiscal year 2022 capital budget, other available funds or take up any action related thereto. So moved.
Thank you, Councilors Ryan and Hume. Clerk Semino, roll call vote, please.
Counselor Baraka?
Yes.
Counselor Flaherty? Aye. Counselor Hume? Aye. Counselor Mackin?
Aye.
Counselor Meglio? Aye. Counselor O'Brien? Counselor O'Brien to refer to the Committee of Ways and Means.
Present.
Counselor Reynolds?
Aye.
Counselor Ringus?
Aye.
Counselor Ryan?
Aye.
8 in favor, 1 present.
Thank you, Clerk Semino. All right, our next meeting will be on Tuesday, March 15th, 2021 at 2022. Sorry, I'm a year behind. At 7:30 p.m. And of course, thank you so much to BCAM, Wes Ray, Bill Needham, and Jerry Comack, who are always here in and out, no matter what, helping us broadcast this for the residents and also live stream it. It will be up on YouTube tomorrow. This meeting could not be live streamed tonight. So with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Councilors Ryan and Hume. Clerk Semino, roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote to adjourn. Counselor Baraka?
Yes.
Counselor Flaherty? Aye. Counselor Hume? Aye. Counselor Mackin?
Aye.
Counselor Meglio? Aye. Counselor O'Brien?
Aye.
Counselor Reynolds?
Aye.
Counselor Ringus?
Aye.
Counselor Ryan?
Aye.
All in favor to adjourn?
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.